Hello. Good to see you live. Good to be here live. I'm inside today because outside it's not just windy. I mean, wind wouldn't stop me from taking on a tour of my garden. But it's also a bit damp. And, going live outside and rain, well, it was raining. I'm just not prepared to do that. So we're inside, and those of you who know me know that I am going live on Facebook. And because it takes a little while for the live to show up on my profile, and my beloved husband is sitting in the other room waiting for it to do that so he can share it out to the groups, I always like to take a little time to do something other than rave about what I'm raving about. And because I'm inside, I'm not in the garden, I'm going to show you rocks. So today we have rocks, and today these are the rocks that said we want to come on and be playing with all the people on Facebook. So for anybody who knows rocks, this obviously is quartz. The nice thing about it is it's kind of milky, and it's got all this black stuff in the in the bottom, and it's kind of scruffy, but I rather like it. I think I bought it. I bought it online, and I was actually a little bit disappointed when it showed up because it wasn't quite what I expected. I wonder if I can get closer. There you are. But I sort of grew fond of it after a while. Look, you can actually see through this little piece. This one is double terminated for people who care about such things, and it's got little lines on the sides, and it's transparent. But this is all milky, and the blackness you get. You get blackness in quartz when there's been radiation. It changes the colour. It goes black. So there you are. Piece of quartz. Oh, something just fell off it. It's alive. And it's just donated a little quartz crystal to me all by itself. So, that was interesting. Here's another piece of quartz. This is, my goodness, what's it called? Ocean jasper. But really, it's quartz. There's lots and lots of different kinds of quartz. And this is ocean jasper, and it's beautiful because it's all spotty. Let's try and get you all the detail I can. The camera goes pretty, yeah, that's about it. That's about as close as I can get. So you can see all the details there. And it's probably pretty gnarly when they find these little lumps of this fabulous spotted jasper. But they polish it up, and isn't it beautiful? I just love this one. All the shapes, the designs. It is designed. It's intelligent. It's coherence in the structure of the universe that creates these patterns that we see everywhere. They recur throughout nature because that's just how the universe is put together. Isn't it fabulous? I really enjoy showing this off. We do have mostly grey today. Hello, beautiful person. I know you asked me. It's Catherine. It's you. And I recognise my dahlia. So yay. It was you who wanted to use it. I recognise that flower. There's still more out in the garden, but it's raining out there. Or it was, and I decided because it's windy to be inside. So I'm doing rocks today. It's great to see you, sweetie. Lovely to have you live. I'm sure you've seen this before, years ago. Last but not least, this one. More quartz. Today it's quartz, but this one's also got tourmaline in it. Sort of greeny blue tourmaline. And actually, I mean, I got a new phone with, of course, a new camera since I did a rock show like this. And honestly, I think this camera does the rocks much better than the last one. Or maybe it's just the light today. But isn't that tourmaline lovely? And yeah, it's what's known as an celestial, which just means a whole bunch of quartz crystals that are so grown into each other that you really can't tell one from another. This one's really interesting. It does have, I don't know if you can see, but there's a deep cavity in there. It's a bit skeletal. You can sort of see through. Can you see through in here? Let me see if I can catch. See, you can probably just see there's a bit of light getting in there, but there are gaps inside. So this quartz is a little bit skeletal. There we go. Now I've caught the light on the planes so you can see. It's really quite textured and interesting and varied. And yeah, that's a very nice shot of the tourmaline. It's not actually that blue, but the light's catching it really nicely at the moment. So I'm enjoying showing it to you, and it's lovely to see you live. Really love having you on. So that's my rocks, and I'm going to put them over here, out of the way, so I can't have anything awful happen. Put my feet up so I can think, and now I got my little notepad, as I did my writing this morning, as I always do, and I looked at it, I thought, my God, what am I going to tell my wonderful people, because I feel like I've been... I actually didn't go around in circles today, but I did certainly refine the story that I've been telling about what is emotional addiction. How is it that we can get addicted to our emotions? And I've been explaining emotional addiction. But what I wanted to focus on today is something that I actually wanted to explain months ago, and I didn't really think, I didn't know when and where I was going to explain it, but I finally got to do it, because it is part of the emotional addiction process. And what seemed, I was going to say, a long time ago, it's probably only a few months, but some time ago, you would have heard me raving on, and for years you would have really heard me raving on about the fact that when we have a thought, we have a feeling. Hi, Eric and Laura. Hello, beautiful people. It's lovely to see you on. When you have a thought, something fires in your brain. Neurons fire in your brain. In fact, a whole network of fires of neurons fires in your brain, and that makes chemistry. And that chemistry then talks to other parts of your brain that send more chemistry down to your body, your hormonal centers, and the hormonal centers send out things, and some of that chemistry goes straight to your cells as well, and it tells your cells what to do, tells your body what to do. Which if we were going on another path, you'd say, well, hell, if I keep thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling the same thing for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, which some people do, my body might get really, really used to those particular thoughts and feelings, right? Is actually how emotional addiction can happen. But how is it that your body can make you tell your brain what to think? And this is the thing, it isn't just that we think and we make chemistry and the chemistry goes to our body and then we have feelings that exactly match how we're thinking. It also works the other way around. And this is one of the reasons why it's really, really hard, if we've been feeling bad for a long time, to start feeling good. This is part of emotional addiction. It is a chemical addiction in the body. So, this is the story I want to tell. So, let's say, and I know I talked about this last week, but I'm just going to frame it. Let's say that if you have a nasty, a traumatic event, whatever, something bad happens in your life. And it was a year ago now, but it was so bad that since that time, there's not a day goes by where you don't think about that thing that happened, you don't think about the person, you don't think about how they hurt you, or what happened. It just every day, you are thinking about that, and you tell all your friends, you've told your family, and if you got sick, if you had an injury, well, everybody's always asking, how are you? And then you tell the story again and on, and old paths, it just keeps going. And so you do that for a year. And in this case, the story that I'm telling is that something happens, and for a whole year you feel very angry, very betrayed, and very sad, because it really was awful. And so you thought the thoughts, and you felt the feelings, and on they go, and that's just what your body becomes accustomed to. And more recently, I've talked about how our cells have receptors on the outsides. And all of those thoughts and feelings and the chemicals that we make that whiz around in our bloodstream, they dock into receptors. Hi, Robin! They dock into receptors on our cells. And if we think and feel and think and feel and think and feel, and we're pouring the same chemistry into our body for a long period of time, those receptors, if we do it a whole lot, can actually get really tired. And because our cells eventually will die and they'll be replaced by another healthy cell that will divide. The cell will divide when an adjacent cell dies, a healthy one nearby will divide and become two. But as it divides, it's going to do sensible things to help its daughter cells do better than it did before. Just like, parents want their kids to do better. Well, when our cells divide, the daughter cells are given different instructions. That the parent cell has learned something by its experiences living in the environment of the body that we are thinking and feeling in. And it says, well, these receptors were getting really hammered, so I'm going to make them less sensitive because it was really hard being hammered all the time. So it's just like putting on, earmuffs. I'm not listening, I'm not hearing. It's just easier when you're not being hammered all the time. So, yeah, our receptors can do that. Or the protein factory inside our cells that makes the materials that we use to run our body can start malfunctioning, or the message that goes into the cell from the receptor goes into the cell and tells the factory what to do, that can get scrambled. There's all kinds of ways it can break down if we just keep hammering at our cells. And so thought, feeling, it just gets like that, and our body can change. Our cells, as the cells divide, they can change. They can become different, and they can actually become adapted to and used to us feeling bad, for example. Just bad, insert you whatever feeling it is, but our cells adapt to us feeling bad. And if we do that for a year, you can bet that the structure and the function of your cells is going to be different at the end of that year than how it is at the beginning. That's just science. It's acknowledged. It's called epigenetics. So here's the thing. You thought and felt and thought and felt and thought and felt. Now one day, a year after this thing, you wake up and you think, geez, now that I know that thinking these thoughts and feeling these feelings all the time is actually changing my cells, and not in a good way, because it generally isn't a good thing. If you're feeling bad for a year, that's not good for your health. Again, that is just acknowledged and accepted science. Just the bad feelings has a negative effect on your health. Nothing else needs to happen. You feel bad for a year, your health is eventually going to suffer. So I think I'd better do something different, because I'd like my body to be healthy, and I'd like to actually maybe enjoy my life again, So one day you wake up and you think, okay, I want to feel different now. I'm going to make some different choices, and I'm going to do some different things. I'm even going to think some different thoughts and try to feel some different feelings. And you get up and you go about your day, and you've made that decision, and it's all going along quite fine. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself thinking about that person and that thing that happened, and it came out of nowhere. And it's not just sort of a nagging little thought. I mean, sometimes it can be nagging thoughts that just can ping, 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 ping. But sometimes you're just wandering along, and there's suddenly, boom, like a PTSD flashback, maybe not quite that strong, but suddenly that memory just rises up and confronts you, and before you know it, you're thinking the same thoughts and feeling the same feelings all over again. And you're thinking, what the hell just happened? I made up my mind at the beginning of today that I wanted to do and feel and think different things. And here I am back at square one. What happened? What happened was that your cells had gotten accustomed to high levels of bad feelings. Chemistry that goes with bad feelings. I got used to that. That had become normal. Just normal. Just normal. I mean, you feeling like this all the time, your cells are going to change. They'll do it if you feel happy all the time too, by the way. It doesn't matter what the feeling is that you feel all the time. Whatever you feel all the time, your cells have gotten used to it. Trust me, this is just science. And then one day you wake up and say, okay, and by the way, your cells don't just use those chemicals to feel the feelings that you've been feeling all the time. They also use those chemicals for other things. They're multi-purpose tools. So your cells have gotten used to having high levels of those bad feeling chemicals, and there they are, that's fine. And then one day you decide, I'm going to feel good. And so you start feeling good. And you do feel good. But your cells do not feel good. Your cells have been accustomed to running at high levels of those bad feeling chemicals, and they need those chemicals just to do what they need to do for you to live. They need those chemicals to run your body. Hi, John. Great to see you. And so now all of a sudden you're feeling good, and your cells are saying, brain, hello, we need those bad feeling chemicals to do our jobs here. We need them. We need them. We need them. And the cells literally start sending signals up to the brain. They're called cravings. This is just like drug addiction. This is exactly the same as drug addiction, except this is our cells. Mind you, if you're a drug addict, you have cells that are addicted to, it's just that instead of taking an exogenous substance like a drug to feel a certain way, we just think a thought and our body makes the chemicals, and it's the same mechanism. So this is why it's called emotional addiction. So now our cells are saying, oh my God, she's feeling happy. Where are the chemicals that I need to do my work? And so the cells start signaling the brain. Need some chemicals, come on, I want to feel angry, I want to feel betrayed, I want to feel sad, I need to feel that, I don't care how, I don't care what you do, give me some of those feelings. Give me some of that chemistry. And what will actually happen is that the body sends the signals to the brain, and the brain will fire the thought of that person or that memory, or there'll be some tiny trigger in your external environment that you don't even notice, but your brain will go, oh, that reminds me of this, boom, there's the memory. This is how our body can actually think for us. The body, as my inspiration, Dr. Joe Dispenza says, is literally, this has got a mind of its own. It tells you how to think and feel because it wants the chemical continuity. It wants the chemistry that it's become accustomed to still be there so it can do its job keeping you alive. There's just one problem here. When your body's feeling good because it's got what it's used to, you have to feel bad. Now, remember, it took you a year to teach your body to be like that. Before that, your body wasn't used to high levels of feeling bad chemicals. It was used to normal levels of those chemicals, which it needs to run, right? Still needs to do all of that, but then you upped the ante and you felt bad for a year, and so it's doing all its thing, but it can't get those chemicals unless you're feeling bad. And then one day you decide you want to feel good, and now it can't get its chemicals. That's why those thoughts, those screaming in your head that happens, oh, come on. It's a classic story. If you decide you're going to stop eating sugar or chocolate or stop complaining, my God, try that for a day if you notice yourself complaining. And the voice in your head says, oh, come on, look, that person really is an idiot and they really are so in the way. Come on, just think a few nasty thoughts about them. Why does that happen? Because our body is craving the chemistry. Or, oh, look, that person's eating a really nice donut. Just ask them for a bite. They're your best friend. They won't mind. It's only one bite. That's our cells craving what we've trained them to crave. It doesn't matter whether it's a bad feeling, a food that perhaps isn't ideal for us, a drug. It doesn't matter. So our body literally has a mind of its own because we've memorized it. We've trained it to be like that. Our body is not our enemy. Excuse me, I just got to look at the clock to make sure I don't rave on for too long. This is how it works. And this is why it's so hard to change. Because your body actually is 95% of who you are. It's memorized, it's habit, it's stored in the habit brain, stored in the chemistry like that. And the receptors on your cells, the membrane of the cell is the brain of the cells. All those little brains of the cell are doing our thinking for us. Hi, Catherine. I love seeing your little things pop up. So it's just, this is why it's hard. So how do we change that? And of course, that's what God of Me website is about, is very simply making it possible for people to change. And there are lots of other ways that people can change too. This is just my service and my project and my passion really, is to, I guess, share this information in my way for people who find it easy to absorb like this. So if you've been thinking and behaving and feeling in a certain way for a year and you've trained your body to be like that, it is quite logical to think that if you want your body now to be different and if you want your thoughts to be different and you want to feel differently, you might have to train your body to do and be and think and behave differently. I mean, that is not rocket science, actually. It is work, right? So how do you do that? Well, how did you get yourself in the mess? How did I get myself in the mess in the first place? Something happened, whether it was my fault or somebody else's fault or whether it was just an accident or whatever, or either I was born with something, it didn't matter. Something happened, right? And I had a thought about it and I had a feeling about it. Hi, Jennifer. Lovely to see you. And because it was big enough that it got my attention. And it might be a single really traumatic event, or it might just be something that was on and on and on and on and on, you know, like a difficult situation that never changes. I had a thought about it, and I had another thought about it, and then I had another thought about it, and I had another thought about it, and it probably changed the way I was behaving, and I certainly had different feelings. And I did that over a period of time. So the first thing you have to do is actually just to notice what the heck you're thinking all day. And that's not necessarily as easy as you think, because remember, your body's thinking for you, and when you're busy doing something, then the part of your brain that's engaged in what you're doing, writing or typing or playing or being with someone or whatever, that part of your brain, you're thinking here. And the other part of you, the 95% of you, that's 5% by the way, the 95% of you that you're not thinking about is busy doing and being that chemical habit, you know, the neurological chemical self that we've all memorized. And so the first thing you have to do is pay attention to what you're thinking. And listen to the words that come out of your mouth. You know, this is a really revealing exercise to do, just for a day. Wander around with a little notepad, and every time you hear yourself saying something, anything that's negative, just saying it. Never mind thinking it, that's another step. Just write it down. And try not to pass judgment on yourself. Because we get all this programming when we're young, okay? And that's not to say, oh, we're victims to it. But you gotta notice it first. You can't change it until you know it's there. So pay attention to what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And how do you know what you're thinking? Well, when you're washing the dishes and there's no one in the room, or, you know, when you're doing something, your brain's not busy. It's not like you're thinking or writing an email, or, you know, you're not figuring something out. When you're just mowing the lawn, what are the thoughts that run through your head then? Spend another day or 3 or however long you want just noticing what you think about when you're not busy doing something. Those are the default mode networks, by the way. Those are the ones that run all the time in the background. Really important to know what those darlings are. They can be really nasty. Mine were and still are sometimes. You know, got to change that. But you can't change it till you know what it is. So notice your thoughts. Just notice, just pay attention. And don't beat up on yourself. It can be a bit of a shock to find out exactly what's going through your mind all day long. Really. It can be. So pay attention. Write them down. Just monitor yourself. Just developing the skill to pay attention to what you're thinking can take some doing. We run around all day on autopilot. We don't pay attention. So there's a big thing. Just pay attention. And then, you know, when you've done that for a day or 2 or whatever, you've got a list of however long. Don't freak out. Pick 1 or 2 of those thoughts. You think, oh man, I really want to think something else than that. Because you know all of those thoughts have a feeling associated with them, right? We're not going to go into all of that for the whole list. Just pick 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you're feeling adventurous. Think about those thoughts and notice how it is that you behave when you are thinking like that. What do you do? And by the way, for me, a lot of the time when I'm thinking about my thoughts, the thoughts that I want to change, I don't really do anything. This was a big trap for me. It's like, well, I don't go off and, you know, I don't go and yell at people. I don't go and tell them the nasty things that are in my head. I don't go and do all the things that I think. But it's really subtle things. Sometimes the behavior is just that my body will switch from feeling good to feeling bad. And then I have to think, well, how do I do that? How do I do my response to that thought? So in other words, what's my response to that thought in my body? Do I actually go and do something? Like, you know, do I go looking for trouble so I can get a fight because I want to feel angry? Do I go and find somebody to make me feel bad because I really need to feel guilty? I don't know. But notice what it is that you do, even if it's just that your body has a response to the feeling. The behaviours that we have when we think can be quite subtle. So don't fall over that, because it's been difficult for me for a long time. We don't always immediately act on our thoughts, but we have our thoughts and we have a response. And then, of course, so you think a thought, what do you do? Whatever doing is, and how do you feel? And the doing and the feeling can be very close because it's both with the body. But sometimes you just have a thought and you have a feeling and there's no action. Thoughts, actions, feelings. What are they? Okay, now that you've worked that out, you're a little bit closer to thinking about, well, all right, that's a really crappy thought. What do I want to think instead? And by the way, it's very common for me when I'm doing that to draw an absolute blank. I have no idea. And you know why that is? It's because I'm so buried in the feelings of the thought that I can't think past my feelings. My feelings are actually running my brain. Because the chemistry, right, is just keeping that part of my brain that's associated with those feelings firing, and everything else is like, So sometimes it can work better to forget about the thought, forget about the action, or, if the action is that you normally go off and punch somebody, you might want to, okay, I'm going to sit still and not punch somebody. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to face my angry feelings, because if you want to punch someone, you're probably angry. But what is the feeling? Okay, so if I'm accustomed to feeling angry, I have that thought, I feel angry, how would I rather feel? You might just want to feel, okay, I'd rather just be neutral, or I'd rather not pass judgment, or even I would rather have compassion. I would rather be kind to myself than judge myself. What do you want to feel instead? It can often be easier, I think, to start with the feeling and think, okay, this is a crappy feeling. How do I want to feel? Because we often know how we want to feel. Now, if I was feeling that way, what would I be thinking? Sometimes it's still really hard, but you can try it out. Hi, Mike. You can give it a go. You can poke it. And if you keep doing this, if you keep exploring it, how do I want to think? How do I want to behave? And how do I want to feel? Or how do I want to feel? If I was feeling that way, what would I be doing? How would I be different? You have to reimagine yourself. You have to recreate yourself. And there's you've got all the mechanism inside your brain and all in your mind to do that. But you have to understand it takes a process. And if you draw a blank on, I don't know what I would be thinking. Well, how would I like to feel? Oh, hell. I just like to feel not so awful. Okay, well, that's better than feeling awful. But what does not so awful mean to you? I'd like to feel I've got more energy, maybe. You just have to keep playing with it. And that means you're going to have to sit still for long enough to notice yourself and do some thinking and feeling. And of course, all of that I've just told you, I've said, and you're thinking, okay, well, I've got to think about this, because you're doing that with the 5% of your analytical mind that's conscious, is listening to me. But actually, you need to find ways to do this in your body as well. And this, of course, is where, for me, the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza is unparalleled, because I haven't found another way to do this that works so well. But there are, in fact, many ways. You can explore them. Check out Joe's work. Even if you read his books and you don't resonate with his meditation work, which I'm going to start. I've decided I'm not going to use the meditation word. I'm going to call it quantumation, because I want to get away from all the things that people think when you mention the word meditation is just not helpful. So I quantumate every day. But the point is, there is a way. There are ways, and you've got to change your body, you've got to change your behavior, and you've got to change your thoughts. You've got to change your body and your brain. You've got to do different stuff, and you've got to make new choices, and you've got to go different places and meet new people and do different things, thinking and feeling. But it all starts with you deciding, well, what does that look like? And you've got to sit with yourself for long enough to be able to do it. And there's lots of ways. And God with me, I'm going to be creating more of those lots of ways too, to give people more choices. So there you are. That's my rave for the day. Thank you for sticking with me and joining in. It is lovely to have you here. I do appreciate your attention and your energy, because where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And that is a privilege for me. So thank you so much for joining. I will be back next week with another installment. Hi Tristan, I've just got time to say hi. But do enjoy the replay. It'll be up shortly, or check it out on YouTube. Because, I put everything on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching. I just so appreciate you being here. Do like, share and subscribe if you wish to. And share it around on Facebook. And I'll be back in a week with lots of love until then. Bye-bye.